Sharanam Prapade Bhavakara Kamala Vare Takam Mabuddha Singam Dalita Irana Kashipu Anabringam Keshavadita Narari Rupam Nagari Share Jaya Nagari Share Jaya Nagari Share Bhagavan ki, Bhakta Prahlad Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nidhai Gaura Premanandi, Hari 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 Bol. Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Vastaya Bhurtari Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swaminanda Namane Namaste Saraswati Deva Guru Vari Vracharina Nirvishesha Shuna Hari Bhachatari Shtari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Malava Giriyonatari Gopi Jana Malava Giriyonatari Asuranandana Brajajanandana Yamunatira Manachari Yamunatira Manachari Jayarana Madhava Kunjabiyadi Jayarana Madhava Kunjabiyadi Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Asuranandana Rajajana Ranjana Asuranandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Manachari Yamunatira Manachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Satarasata Shishiman, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Asatarasata Shishiman, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anand Kuri Vaishnavan Ki Jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se Koho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavan Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadi Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Gangamai Ki Jai. Yamunamai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Banda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari 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 Bol. All glories to the Assambodhi Bodhis. Hare Krishna. All glories to the Assambodhi Bodhis. Hare Krishna. All glories to the Assambodhi Bodhis. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Namo Prabhupada Krishna Is Authorized Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Namaste Saraswati Devi Guru Vani Brahmacharya Nirvishesha Shunnavari Paschartarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Chapter 10, Text 12 and 13. Arjuna Vacha Param Brahma Param Dhamma Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Majam Vibhum Ahustvam Rashaya Sarve Devarshi Naradastata Asito Devalo Vyasaha Swayam Chaiva Bravishime. Take the mic, take the mic, take the mic. Arjuna Uvacha
Param Brahma Param Dhama
Param Brahma Param Dhamma
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Ahustvam Rishayah Sarve
Ahustvam Rashaya Sarve
Devarishi Naradas-tatha
Devarashi Naradastata
Asita Devalo Vyasaha
Asito Devalo Vyasaha
Swayam Chaiva Bravishime
Swayam Chaiva Bravishime. Arjuna Uvacha
Param Brahma Param Dhamma
Param Brahma Param Dhamam
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Adideva Majam Vibhum
Adideva Majam Vibhum
Ahustvam Rishaya Sarve
Ahustvam Rashaya Sarve
Devarishir Naradasthatha
Devarishi Naradastata
Asito Devalo Vyasa
Asito Devalo Vyasaha
Swayam Chaiva Bravishime
Swayam Chavam Brabhishime
Arjuna Vacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Param Brahma Param Dhama
Param Brahma Param Dhamma
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Purusham Shashvatam Devyam
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Ahustvam Rishaha Sarve
Ahustvam Rishaya Sarve
Devarshir Nardasthatha
Devarishi Naradastata
Asito Devalo Vyasa
Asito Devalo Vyasaha
Swayam Jaiva Bravishime
Swayam Chaiva Bravishime
Arjuna Vacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Param Brahma Param Dhama
Param Brahma Param Dhamma
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Purusham Sasvatam Divyam
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Ahustvam Rishaya Sarve
Ahustvam Rishaya Sarve
Devarishir Naradasthatha
Devarishi Naradastata
Asito Devalo Vyasaha
Asito Devalo Vyasaha
Swayam Chaiva Bravishime
Swayam Chaiva Bravishime
Arjuna Vacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Param Brahma Param Dhamma
Param Brahma Param Dhamma
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Ahustvam Vishaya Sarve
Ahustvam Rishaya Sarve
Devashi Naradastata
Devarishir Naradastata
Asito Devalo Vyasaha
Asito Devalo Vyasaha
Swayam Chaiva Bravishime
Swayam Chaiva Bravishime
Arjuna Vacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Param Brahma Param Dhamma
Param Brahma Param Dhamma
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Ahustvam Rishaya Sarve
Ahustvam Rishaya Sarve
Devarshir Naradasthatha
Devarishir Naradastata
Asito Devalo Vyasaha
Asito Devalo Vyasaha
Swayam Chaiva Bravishime
Swayam Chaiva Bravishime Arjuna Uvacha Arjuna said Param Supreme Brahma Truth Param Supreme Dhamma
Dhamma
Sustenance Pavitram Purest Paramam Supreme Bhavan Yourself Purusham Personality Shashvatam Original Divyam Transcendental Adidevam Original Lord Ajam Unborn Vibhum Greatest Ahu Say Tvam Unto you Rishayaha Sages Sarve All Devarishi The sage among the demigods Naradaha Narada Tata Also Asitaha Asita Devalaha Devala Vyasaha Vyasa Swayam Personally Cha Also Eva Certainly Bravishi Explaining Me Unto me. Translation. Arjuna said, you are the Supreme Brahman, the ultimate, the Supreme Abode and Purifier, the Absolute Truth and the Eternal Divine Person. You are the Primal God, Transcendental and Original, and you are the Unborn and All-Pervading Beauty. All the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala and Vyasa proclaimed this of you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. In these two verses, the Supreme Lord gives a chance to the modern philosopher, for here it is clear that the Supreme is different from the individual soul. Arjuna, after hearing the essential 4 verses of Bhagavad Gita in this chapter, became completely free from all doubts and accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He at once boldly declares, "You are Parabrahma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead." And previously, Krishna states that he is the originator of everything and everyone. Every demigod and every human being is dependent on him. Men and demigods, out of ignorance, think that they are absolute and independent of the Supreme Lord Krishna. That ignorance is removed perfectly by the discharge of devotional service. This is already explained in the previous verse by the Lord. Now by his grace, Arjuna is accepting him as the supreme truth in concordance with the Vedic injunction. It is not because Krishna is an intimate friend of Arjuna that he is flattering him by calling him the Supreme Personality of God and the Absolute Truth. Whatever Arjuna says in these 2 verses is confirmed by Vedic truth. Vedic injunctions affirm that only one who takes to devotional service to the Supreme Lord can understand him, whereas others cannot. Each and every word of this verse spoken by Arjuna is confirmed by Vedic injunction. In the Kena Upanishad, it is stated that the Supreme Brahman is the rest for everything. And Krishna has already explained that everything is resting on him. The Mundaka Upanishad confirms that the Supreme Lord, in whom everything is resting, can be realized only by those who are engaged constantly in thinking of him. This constant thinking of Krishna is smaranam, one of the methods of devotional service. It is only by devotional service to Krishna that one can understand his position and get rid of this material body. In the Vedas, the Supreme Lord is accepted as the purest of the pure. One who understands that Krishna is the purest of the pure can become purified from all sinful activities. One cannot be disinfected from sinful activities unless he surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. Arjuna's acceptance of Krishna as the Supreme Pure complies with the injunctions of Vedic literature. This is also confirmed by great personalities, of whom Narada is the chief. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and one should always meditate upon him and enjoy one's transcendental relationship with him. He is the supreme existence. He is free from bodily needs, birth and death. Not only does Arjuna confirm this, but all the Vedic literatures, the Puranas and histories. In all Vedic literatures, Krishna is thus described. And the Supreme Lord himself also says in the 4th chapter, "Although I am unborn, I appear on this earth to establish religious principles." He is the supreme origin. He has no cause, for he is the cause of all causes, and everything is emanating from him. This perfect knowledge can be had by the grace of the Supreme Lord. Here Arjuna expresses himself through the grace of Krishna. If we want to understand Bhagavad Gita, we should accept the statements in these 2 verses. This is called the Parampara system, acceptance of the disciplic succession. Unless one is in the disciplic succession, he cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. It is not possible by so-called academic education. Unfortunately, those proud of their academic education, despite so much evidence in Vedic literatures, stick to their obstinate conviction that Krishna is an ordinary person. Om Agyantirinandasya Jnanajana Shalakyam Chakshunanminitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, has opened my darkened eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto His lotus feet. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So, this is the statement of Arjuna. Just like Krishna is representing the Supreme Spiritual Master, Arjuna is also representing an ideal disciple. So, Bhagavad Gita can be an inspiration from both. How to be a spiritual master and how to be a perfect disciple as well. In one sense, they're one and the same, because unless one is a perfect disciple, he cannot be a perfect spiritual master. So this attitude of Arjuna, tomorrow we'll discuss another very important shloka where Arjuna says to Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. This is very, very important. Because Arjuna is showing that Krishna is an absolute authority. Absolute authority. Absolute authority must be accepted absolutely. And just because we have been cheated so many times by people who claim to be an absolute authority doesn't mean that the absolute authority does not exist. Just like Srila Prabhupada gives this famous example that a person, he buys plates and he eats on the plate, but then he breaks them. So he buys new set of plates, but he breaks them as well. And then he buys another set and he breaks that one as well. So ultimately, out of frustration, he decides to eat off the floor. That is not a good idea. We cannot eat off the floor. The plates must be there. It doesn't matter how many times you break the plates, there is a necessity. Someone asked Srila Prabhupada, how can I know that this Krishna consciousness is bona fide? I've tried so many paths and I realized that they're not bona fide. So how do I know that this one is bona fide? So Srila Prabhupada, he answered. He said, okay, so you have been cheated so many times. So why not try another one? You have nothing to lose. Even if this Krishna consciousness is cheating, you're not going to lose anything because you have been cheated so many times. So why not try another one? There is a necessity of spiritual life. This we have to emphasize always. There is a necessity. This is not the question whether Krishna consciousness is bona fide or not and this and that. First of all, you must clarify. Are you ready to practice spiritual life? Have you realized that there is no happiness in this material world? Dukala imashashvatam. Krishna declares, Krishna is the engineer behind this material manifestation. The engineer says, there's only suffering here, everything is temporary. Sometimes Krishna, he puts us in very unfavorable situation just to inspire us to inquire about the absolute truth. He can use it so many different ways how to do that. When everything is nice, when the bank account is full, when one has very nice, beautiful features, 1 million followers on Instagram, he is not so much interested in knowing that after death everything is finished. He's not so much inclined. People who are desperate, who are unfortunate, bad karma, ugly, poor, no relationship, they want to sometimes commit suicide. So that is also not good, but they're more attracted to this idea of death. Of course, we don't advocate suicide, but they're attracted at least to the question of death. They realize, this life has no meaning. So that is actually more favorable. This position of suffering is more favorable to attain Krishna consciousness than being materially happy. Of course, Krishna consciousness doesn't depend on anything. It simply depends on your sincere desire. But materially speaking, this position of suffering is more favorable. One becomes more eager to hear about Krishna consciousness when times are rough. And this is the position of Arjuna. Arjuna was also in a suicide mood. Do you know why? There's a shloka that indicates that Arjuna was suicidal. Which shloka is it? Anybody knows? Yes, you know? Who said? Yeah? Nobody knows?
He says, I would rather die than fight.
You have the mic?
Arjuna Krishna says in the first chapter that he would rather die unarmed than fight with his kinsman.
Die unarmed. Imagine you in war and there's soldiers, millions of soldiers with weapons, and they want to kill you, they want to fight with you, and you run towards them without any weapon. That's suicide. You see? So he was also in that mood, suicidal mood. And in that position, he surrendered to Krishna. At the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, now we're on the 10th chapter, he told Krishna, now I am your disciple. Now let us finish friendly talks, over familiar talks. Now you are my guru. Now I am your disciple. He formally accepted Krishna as his spiritual master. Of course, they were friends. Krishna was the cousin brother of Arjuna. But Arjuna wanted to establish a new relationship. You are superior, I am inferior. So here in this shloka, Arjuna is expressing his realization. Krishna, you are the supreme Brahman. You are the absolute truth. You are the supreme personality of Godhead. And that is why I'm going to follow your instruction. See? Absolutely. Only the absolute authority of God is worthy of following absolutely. If we follow a person who is incomplete or who is partial, then our surrender will also be incomplete and partial. Even we might surrender absolutely. We are thinking that we're surrendering absolutely. Just like they have this idea of fanaticism. Oh, he's a fanatic. He's very fanatical. Fanaticism doesn't mean absolute surrender. Fanaticism sometimes means a great attachment to the rewards, to the material rewards. People become very, very addicted to religion for 4 reasons. Artha, Kama, what is the other one? Dharma and moksha. Dharma, Artha, Kama, moksha. Mundane religiosity. Artha means economic development. Kama, sense gratification. And moksha, liberation. The Srimad Bhagavatam kicks out all of these. From the very beginning, in the 2nd shloka of the Bhagavatam, all these are kicked out. This Paradharma, just like we have Parabrahman, Krishna is Parabrahman, the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Absolute Truth, the Supreme Personality. There's also Paradharma. Savai Pumsha Parudharmo Yato Bhakti Radhokchaji Aitu Kya Pratyata Yatma Suprasidati. That Supreme Dharma, Paradharma, what is it? It is that activity that satisfies the senses of the Adokshaja. Adokshaja means that he cannot be understood by material senses. You cannot, because again, the senses are relative. They perceive the world in a relative way, and Krishna is the absolute truth. That is why it's called Adokshaja. So that we have to practice under the direction of this disciplic succession. Prabhupada says that unless one accepts this parampara system, he cannot understand the Bhagavad Gita. Because the system of parampara is transcendental. All the great spiritual masters, they're situated on a transcendental platform of consciousness. So only through them, the message is passing through unchanged, untinged. That is why we see the potency. As soon as someone surrenders to Srila Prabhupada, we see there's a change in his life. Srila Prabhupada writes that there must be tangible change observed in the life of a disciple after initiation. He writes in connection with Narada Muni. Narada Muni was initiated by the Bhakti Vedantas. And when he was initiated by hearing And by association with them, he became attracted to the activity of Shravanam and Kirtanam, because they were performing Shravanam Kirtanam. They were hearing and discussing about Krishna. So by his initiation, he became attracted to these activities. And he was so attracted to Krishna that after his mother died, he just left. He was not attached to his home. He left and he was wandering and looking for Krishna everywhere. So there must be tangible change after we get inspired by the spiritual master. And that is the proof that the potency is still the spiritual potency. Unauthorized so-called spiritual master or so-called incarnation of God, they cannot induce people to give up materialistic habits, materialistic concepts of life. They're incapable because they themselves are materially attached, materially tinged. It would not work for them. The so-called spiritual master, he wants to keep his disciples in ignorance, because if they become smart, then they will see, oh, he's bogus. So there is an agenda to keep the disciples always in ignorance, like sheep. So Bhagavad Gita is not meant for sheep like humans, animal like humans. Animal like humans, they don't hear. Srila Prabhupada says it also. A dog, cat cannot hear. Donkey cannot hear. If there's a dog or cat here in this room, they will look at the Bhagavad Gita, they will lick the Bhagavad Gita, they will touch the Bhagavad Gita with their paws. How do you say paws? Yeah. But they will not hear the Bhagavad Gita. They're not interested. They will see, oh, Bhagavad Gita, oh, very nice book for eating. He will chew it. So similarly, these kind of animal type of people, they might come in contact with a bona fide spiritual master. They think that, oh, he is for material benedictions. Guruji, I have this problem, health problem, I have a little cough. Do you have any medicine? Go to a doctor. Why are you approaching? The spiritual master is giving you the cure for Bhavaroga, the ultimate disease. This material body is also a disease. This material existence is disease. You're in a diseased atmosphere of asat. Everything is temporary. That is the disease. Are you ready to cure that disease? Oh, no. Simply a little disease, so I can go on enjoying my senses. So for such people, the spiritual master is useless. And sometimes they curse the spiritual master. Narada Muni was cursed later on by Daksha. Narada Muni wanted to convert all his sons because Daksha wanted to, he's a progenitor, he wanted to populate the world. So Narada Muni preached to his sons and they immediately gave up. What is this nonsense? Populate the world, we should have sex life and beget thousands of children and then not have any time to chant 16 rounds. What's the use of this? So they gave up everything, gave up the family connection, and they were simply meditating. So then Narada Muni was cursed with Daksha, that you cannot stay in one spot more than 3 days or something like that. He cursed him. And Narada took it as a great benediction. Oh, very good. I will now preach expanding bliss everywhere. Very good. And Srila Prabhupada also says that similarly, I was also cursed by the parents of my disciples. The parents of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they were very angry. That, my son, my daughter, they were studying at university, they had a big career coming up, and now they're chanting, shaven-headed in the street. What is this? Begging. So they cursed Prabhupada that you cannot stay also, just like Narada Muni, you cannot stay in one place for more than 3 days. And Srila Prabhupada kept on traveling all around the world. 12 times he circled the whole globe. There's one video on YouTube, maybe you have seen it, this dot is there, how Prabhupada is traveling. In India, America, it's all there. And the years are displayed, how the time is passing. So, the spiritual master is presenting pure vibration, pure knowledge, originating from Krishna. Krishna is the supreme absolute truth. He is all-knowing, omniscient. He knows everything. He is the supreme authority. No one can know the world better than Krishna. So when Krishna sends a message through the disciplic succession, the disciplic succession is like a wire. You have an electric cable, and then you have the extension cord, right? You have the extension cord, and you have another extension cord, another extension cord, another extension cord. So, provided they're all connected to one another, if you come to the last extension cord, there is electricity. That's the proof that the disciplic succession is bona fide. You can see by the result, palena parichyate. You can judge the tree by its fruit. So this is the fruit. That people, by hearing, they give up materialistic conception of life. Now, Arjuna is declaring Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not based on sentiment. Even Arjuna was very elevated, although he was a Kshatriya, he would quote the Shastra. In the Bhagavad Gita, there are instances where Arjuna is quoting Shastra, or here is he quoting various spiritual authorities. Srila Vyasadeva is the author of the Shastra, of the Vedas. So he says, Arjuna, that even Vyasa accepts you as such. It is not some kind of a GBC voting that we're now going to vote who is God or who is the spiritual master. You cannot vote. The spiritual master must be authorized by the Shastra. And similarly, God must be authorized by Shastra. So, Narada Muni says Krishna is God, Asita, Devala, Vyasa, and all the various acharyas. Vishnu Swami, Nimbarka, Ramanujacharya, even Shankaracharya. This morning we were criticizing Shankaracharya. Actually, he should not be criticized because he is the incarnation of Lord Shiva. At the end of his life, Shankaracharya, he said, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, Mudhamate. Now you fools, worship Krishna. Your grammatical juggling of words, because the impersonators are very expert in juggling words and misinterpreting things and being logical masters. So Sripad Shankaracharya says that this will not save you at the time of death. At the time of death, you should think of Krishna. And he has stated also in his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, Narayanam Para Avyaktat, that Krishna or Narayan is beyond his material manifestation. That is in agreement with this shloka. Krishna is the Supreme Brahman. He is not affected by matter. So Shankaracharya also confirms. That is how we ascertain what is the Siddhanta, what is not Siddhanta, who is the spiritual master and who is a cheater, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and who is a cheap imitation like Pondraka. By the Shastra. Shastra is always the center. Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Narottam Das Thakur gives this instruction. Always ascertain the Siddhanta by consulting Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Not a sentiment that we agree, okay, you're going to be God on Monday, I'll be God on Tuesday, and Krishna Prema can be God on Wednesday. And we agree, and we're not going to tell anyone that we made this agreement. He, hoo, hoo, hoo. Now, it must be authorized. These are great authorities, Narada Muni, Srila Vyasadeva. So Arjuna is referring to the authorities. He also says, in the first chapter, he says, by the disciplic succession, I've heard that those who destroy the family tradition, they always dwell in hell. You remember this? Arjuna argued, not based on his own sentiment. I feel, I think, someone told me on Facebook that I should do. No. He says, I have heard by the disciplic succession. So although he is a Kshatriya, he has a very highly scholarly discussion with Krishna, because both are quoting Shastra. Srila Prabhupada says that in spiritual circles, one should be immediately ready to back up whatever he's saying or she's saying by authority, by some reference to the Shastra or the Guru. We cannot just speak, in my opinion, vox populi. Whatever opinion one has, that must be respected. This is a science. This is why Krishna consciousness is science, although foolish people will object, oh, what kind of science? You don't have microscope and telescopes. If you want to be a scientist, you must have a microscope or telescope. If you don't have, then you're not accepted. So, we have the microscope and telescope for consciousness. This Bhagavad Gita, this bead bag is a very scientific device of how to telescopically discover your Atma, your soul. And here also we have a scientific method. Whatever statement, whatever realization we have, we must test by referring to the previous scientific studies done by all these great acharyas. They're perfect scientists. They have ascertained the reality by consulting their spiritual masters. And ultimately everything is coming from Krishna, the supreme, perfect, all-knowledgeable authority. That is why we accept Krishna. It is not fanaticism. It is not some blind sentiment. It is a very thorough scientific study. We take into consideration the material energy, but also spiritual energy. And because we're dealing with spiritual energy, those who are materialistic scientists, they say, oh, this must be bogus, because spiritual energy doesn't exist. Spiritual energy doesn't exist? Who gave you the power to say that spiritual energy doesn't exist? Spiritual energy, your soul. As soon as your soul leaves the body, your consciousness leaves the body, you cannot even say that there is no spiritual energy. Most foolish. This idea is most foolish. Life comes from matter, which is a bunch of chemicals. We came to this point of human form by so-called evolution from monkeys. Most stupid theories. Srila Prabhupada wanted us to defeat these because they're harming the world. This atheism is harming the world. People have no respect for life. Because it's the consciousness that makes life in the body. So if we ignore consciousness, if we ignore the soul, then naturally people will be cruel to each other, to the animals, to the world. They will have no consideration. I'm just a bunch of chemicals put together by accident, and after I die, there's going to be nothing. This creates such a life of irresponsible rascal demons. You must be irresponsible. If you have this kind of theory, you must be irresponsible. You must be living irresponsibly without any care. Because there is no basis to your morality, to your so-called goodness. There was some discussion lately. Goodness, I want to be good. What is your basis? What is your basis of goodness? Where do you draw the line? Krishna comes, he establishes religious principles because he knows he is the Supreme Lord. He has designed this world. He's controlling this world. He is the source of the spiritual and material energy simultaneously. That is the difference between God and you. You're not even in charge of your own stool. Sometimes people, they pass stool even without wanting. They have some strong diarrhea. They pass stool. And they say, I am God. They're so stubborn. I am God. His pants are full of stool and he says, I am God. You are a dog. And foolish people, they accept, yes, he is God, because he says free sex. Free sex, drugs, you don't follow any rules. Oh, he must be good. He must be good and he must be God. What does Krishna? So many rules. What does Prabhupada? Just like we say, Yamanujacharya says that as soon as he hears of illicit sex life, his mouth turns in disgust and he spits at the thought. So when such a motivated animal-like person, he hears the spiritual instructions, he has that reaction. His mouth turns sour and he spits at the devotees. You see? So we must be very, very careful to understand what is surrender and who is Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Scientifically, we must understand through the disciplic succession. Otherwise, it will be just a sentiment. Just like so many religions. They take God as some kind of a order supplier. God is there, yeah, we do rituals, but now, okay, God, give money. Give me this, give me that. And if he doesn't give money, then we make bingo in church to win money in this way. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So much attached to these four people are. So, this is what Arjuna declares about Krishna. You are Parabrahman. You are the ultimate, the supreme abode, and purifier. See, Krishna can purify unlimited stock of sinful activities. And Krishna can do that. He's just like the sun. The sun can also evaporate urine. But have you ever seen that you look at the sun and there's urine on the sun? No. The sun does not become contaminated. So don't think that Krishna will become contaminated by your sinful activities. You're not so big. The holy name can purify more sins than you are ever able to commit. You're not even capable of committing so many sins that the holy name can purify. So have this faith and stick with Krishna consciousness. You'll be purified. Don't go away. You're in a position of, or in the process of surrender. That is also a path. So continue walking this path. Don't go astray. Don't be diverted by so-called gods and so-called gurus. Your guru is already here. Srila Prabhupada, follow him strictly. Hear from him. Don't delay. The time is ticking. Soon you're going to be old men and women. So use your time here to fully surrender to Krishna. And then you go back home, back to Godhead. Any questions?
Yes, we have a question.
Mm-hmm.
You said that in a time of distress, that's good because you can remember Krishna.
Yeah.
But also there's this thing that we're on the middle planetary system.
Mm-hmm.
So in the middle planets, then there's like, well, I don't know about that exactly, but...
Well, don't go to other planets. We're speaking of this planet.
Yeah, but I'm speaking of the principle that, because in different planets you have different levels of enjoyment. Sometimes they're suffering more intensely or...
Yeah, but the principle is the same in the whole material universe.
But, I mean, say,
Bhog and Tyag. You enjoy, then you suffer. These two phases of material existence.
I mean, say that like people are suffering. We say that people who are suffering too much, it's difficult for them to take the spiritual life because they're always worrying about like where's the bread and
and also
rich,
those who enjoy too much.
Yeah, then they're too rich. They don't they don't even think about it.
Yeah.
So, but if it being distressed is a condition for being good for spiritual
No,
life,
I said that. I said it's not a condition. Krishna consciousness does not depend on anything. You can be rich, you can be happy, just like Lord Buddha. He had everything.
Yeah.
But he became also spiritually inclined.
Not dependent, but favorable for. So, but
It's materially favorable. Material condition, just like brahmacharya. This is materially more favorable than grihastha. Does it mean that the grihasthas, they cannot become pure devotees? They can be more pure devotees than the brahmacharis. Everything depends on the individual.
But then why? Okay, materially favorable, but you said that the distressful situation is good, but then we say that if the people are too much in distress, it's not good.
Yeah, like a devotee, pure devotee, when there's distress, he's thanking Krishna. Thank you for relieving me from the sinful reactions. I should have suffered way much more, but you have minimized the reaction. So for a devotee, distress is happiness. And Queen Kunti is praying, please, more distress. Give me more distress, so I can think of you more.
So only if a devotee is, and when you become a devotee...
A devotee is liberated from all this material conditioning. He doesn't care. Rain or shine, he's going to serve Krishna. Because he understood Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the only aim of life.
So for a practicing devotee who's not liberated, that's when the distress...
Now, every devotee is liberated. Might not be completely liberated, but because he's taking the process, he is liberated also.
So who is the distressful situation beneficial for? Because if the devotee is liberated, he doesn't care, distressful or happy. Yeah. And the person who's not a devotee, the distressful situation is not good because then he...
Just to teach him that the material life is suffering. We don't realize. We think, oh, we make so many plans. I get money, I get this, I get a woman, then if I don't like, I get another one. We always make plans. Always planning. So Krishna, sometimes he strikes. He would ask, I kill your whole family. Just like here, Arjuna. And then it's like, oh, okay. I was planning. Now my plans are completely destroyed. What is the aim of life? And you become jigyasu, you become inquisitive.
I understand that, but I'm a little confused as that because we say that if someone's in a distressful condition, like there's not favorable because then they don't have time. They're always in anxiety about how to get by, so then they don't have time to think about spiritual life.
Well, they're not suffering enough.
But is it the more they suffer, the more difficult it is because then they're like more in anxiety. Where do I get this? Where do I get that? I have this problem, that problem, and then they don't have time. Like we see people who are depressed, they come to the temple and
they're so depressed, but Krishna consciousness he will not take up.
So then who is the distressful situation good for? Then who is the distressful
situation? Someone who is pious. Someone who has a little piety. He comes to Krishna. In distress. Those who are sinful, you see, so many homeless people and criminals and I don't know. They're suffering so much. Someone in the disease. We see so many times on book distribution, people in wheelchairs. You offer him a book, he goes, It's not that now we have to suffer to come to Krishna consciousness, but sometimes Krishna, he puts you into a miserable position. That is confirmed in the Bhagavatam. See, I only speak what is in the Shastra. In the Bhagavatam, it is mentioned. The devotee is asking, how come the followers of Lord Shiva, they're so opulent, but he's completely pure, he's poor, Lord Shiva, and the disciples of Narayan, who is the husband of goddesses of fortune, they're sometimes poor. So then the devotee explains that this is the special favor of Krishna, that he takes material opulences from the devotee, so the devotee surrenders more. Okay?
Thank you.
Any other question? Yeah? Mike?
So in the Srila Prabhupada, he says that one should always meditate on his relationship with Krishna. How can someone do this in the neophyte stage?
The relationship with Krishna in neophyte stage is that he is the master, you are the servant. So your duty is to serve the master. He is not our servant. This is what we should assimilate in the neophyte stage. That is the relationship.
Okay. I have another question.
Yeah?
As before Krishna revealed the universal form to Arjuna, did Arjuna know that Krishna was God?
Yeah, he just said here. This is chapter 10. The universal form is chapter 11. Yes.
So their whole life, actually, did Arjuna know like the whole relationship that Krishna is God?
Yeah, he just says it right here.
Like that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And was there another question related to
the universal form, that was just to show to the atheists.
Yes.
To show to the others. Because they might be thinking, it's your friend Krishna, you made this So he's trying to prove. That's why he asks.
So Arjuna is like religious and he knows like all the philosophy, like you are not the body and all these things. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
On TikTok, Merinos94 is wondering, does every living thing have a soul, or is it only complex beings like animals and humans who do?
There are symptoms of the soul in the body. Birth, growth, sustenance, multiplying, dwindling, and death. These are the 6 symptoms of consciousness. So if we see any of these symptoms present in a living being, then we know that there's a soul. Just like a baby in the womb is growing. That means that the soul has entered already. If you kill it, you're a murderer. Next.
Stacy is wondering, what's a demigod?
Demigod are beings that are higher than humans. They they live in the higher planets, moon, sun, all these higher planets. They're living beings there, and they control. They have more control over different aspects of the material world. Just like, for example, Lord Indra is in charge of the rains, and there's Lord Shiva is in charge of the mode of ignorance. There's Lord Brahma is in charge of mode of passion. So they're controlling different aspects of the material world. It's not that Krishna is doing everything himself, like a worker in a factory. He has his assistants. So these are all, there's a conscious guidance behind everything. We're not seeing these demigods, but they're present. And they're controlling different elements of the material world. So in the Vedas, sometimes there's a recommendation to worship these demigods to get material benedictions. That is meant for very less intelligent people who would otherwise not have any religion. But the higher knowledge is that this is not necessary. You should simply surrender to the Supreme Lord, the Supreme God, Krishna. Because these benedictions offered by the demigods are temporary. They can only give material benedictions. Krishna will give you the spiritual benediction of Krishna Prema. Devotees are asking for that. They want Krishna Prema, love of Godhead. That is the real benediction. Next.
Bhakti Bu is wondering, how does our understanding of Krishna's transcendental nature influence the quality of our remembrance beyond just mechanical thinking?
Yes, because we think also Krishna is mechanical. Material nature works mechanically. Like you see all around. It works mechanically. Doesn't have any consciousness. There's no variety. The sun rises at the exact same time. Material, physical laws. There's no variety. So if we think that Krishna is controlled by material nature, that means that we're thinking that Krishna is also mechanical. And that's why it's difficult to surrender to a mechanical personality. So the more you understand that Krishna is transcendental, that he's not controlled by the material nature, the easier it is to meditate on him. It's more natural.
Okay. And Ayan Ali is wondering, thank you Prabhu for such a great class. Question, why do people follow unauthorized gurus who, as you said, are also attached to material attachments and want to keep their disciples in ignorance? Is it because we are not sincere disciples? Or because we did offenses in previous lives? How we end up in this situation? Can we rectify it?
Yeah, you can read about Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj also accepted Shukracharya, a guru that was not bona fide. And that guru was diverting him from worshipping Krishna. When Krishna came as Vamana Deva, he was trying to divert him from surrendering to Vamana Deva. So there, Srila Prabhupada, he writes in one of these purports, he said that if one knows that he accepted a pseudo spiritual master, he should reject him. He should reject him, and that's not all, then he should accept a bona fide spiritual master. And in terms of why we accept the spiritual master who is not bona fide, well, because our desire is not strong enough to get the real thing. So, in one sense, we all accept some pseudo-spiritual master. You know, we accept so many authorities, our parents, TV, Google, so many. Even now, we're taking guidance from so many people who are imperfect. So the more we become serious about spiritual advancement, the more we'll be inclined to accept a bona fide, pure spiritual master. Krishna is simply fulfilling our desire. If you want to stay here, then he will send you a spiritual master who will keep you here. And if you want to get out, then he will send A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
Jai. Do we have time for...
Yeah?
Okay. So on TikTok, Tony is wondering, do followers of Krishna consider trees and plants as possible forms of reincarnation?
I already explained that. There are 6 symptoms of consciousness.
Right.
Birth, growth, sustenance, multiplying byproducts, dwindling, and death. These are the symptoms of the soul. So the trees are growing, that means that there's a soul. Matter doesn't grow. Your cell phone doesn't grow. That means there's no soul. Simple. It's not a, oh, you followers, it's some kind of a belief. It's just logical. Next.
That's all.
Who? Guru. Huh? Ah, Gorik. Yes, Gorik. Hare Krishna, Gorik.
No.
Take the mic.
Oh yeah, I have it. It's updated. Okay, there's more. I don't see from Gori, but I see from Susan. Susan is wondering, if pure devotees go to Goloka upon death, what happens to us not so pure, yet still devotees? Do we continue in our next life on a higher platform?
What happens to the imperfect devotees?
Yes.
That is exactly what Arjuna is asking Krishna in the 6th chapter. He says, Almighty Am Krishna, does not such a man, being deviated from the path of transcendence, perish like a riven cloud with no position in any sphere? This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for yourself, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. Then Krishna responds, Son of Pratha, transcendentalists engage in auspicious activities does not mean with the destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Or he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Verily, such a birth is rare in this world. And there's more detailed description of what happens in chapter 6, text 41, 42, 43. Next.
I can't see Gorik for some reason. Sorry about that.
Is it in the same light that we must avoid atheists and turn ourselves to like-minded people, satsang of devotees, as we have to turn ourselves ultimately to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra?
I didn't catch the beginning. Is that?
Is it in the same light that we must...
Same life?
Light.
Light?
Yeah. That we must avoid atheists and turn ourselves to like-minded people.
Yes. The more you associate with devotees, the more you become disinterested in this sense gratification pursuits, talking about nonsense, football and beer, and it all becomes boring. So even if you don't feel inclined to give up bad association, take up the good association. Come to the association of the devotees here. Just like here we're offering association of the devotees on this live stream. Come in here and you will get a higher taste and it will be easy to give up. Alright, enough. Anantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari 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 Bol. Most Prakashta Stable Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravari Brachari Nadi Vishesha Shunavare Paschat. Thank you. Jai. Jai. Hari Hari Bol. Jai.